I know my mentality is literally just pursue the life that I think is most interesting and most geared towards what I want to do. And like, why wouldn't I? Like, you can always go backwards and figure it out and take a more safe route. But the opportunity to pursue a life full of risks and passions and endeavors is like, that's at the forefront of my head. It always has been. I don't know anything else.
Hello, my name is Aaron Wexler, and welcome to another episode of Within the Game. Let's go. Within the Game is all about sharing inspiration, and I just appreciate fans and listeners of the show. Thanks for being on this podcast journey with me. If you guys want to support the show, a great way to do that is to grab a copy of my book, The Inspired Athlete. And if you could just share this episode with anyone that you think could benefit from it, like, subscribe, all those things really do help out. And also, I'd like to make this show a little bit more interactive. So if you want to leave a comment or just reach out in any possible way, that's great. That's all helpful stuff. And also, please follow and support my guests. And today's guest is the one and only Wynter. Ike, thanks so much for being here, man.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, let's go, Ike. Let's go. Ike is a visionary artist and entrepreneur who turns reclaimed wood into stunning, nostalgia-driven masterpieces, featured in the New York Stock Exchange, the Milwaukee Bucks, and beyond. A former manager for Charlie Rocket, shout out Charlie. Ike's journey began in his family's junk removal business, where he saw beauty in the discarded. His delusional optimism and relentless creativity have earned him national recognition, a feature on NBC Nightly News, and even the honor of throwing out the first pitch at a Major League Baseball game. Let's go. From social media success to high-profile collabs, he proves that passion, belief, inspiration, and hustle can turn dreams into reality. His Instagram is at Ike_Wynter with a Y. And again, shout out to Charlie Rocket for this connection. And Ike, man, I'm just so appreciate you for being here. And welcome to the show, man.
Man, that's quite the intro. I appreciate it. You have to send me what you typed up there because I'm like, well, sure, all right, yeah.
So, Ike, like I said, this whole theme, well, the theme I have for you today is this idea of creative flow and mental toughness and like turning passion into success. And so I always like to start these episodes with this concept of inspired living. So what does that concept mean to you, and how will you use your inspiration into action this year?
I think where my head first went with that was like, you can live a very passionate life and in pursuing the best version of yourself in your life, or you can kind of take a route that's more safe or other people want you to take. But at the end of the day, you have one life to live here. And I know my mentality is literally just pursue the life that I think is most interesting and most geared towards what I want to do. And like, why wouldn't I? Like, you can always go backwards and figure it out and take a more safe route. But the opportunity to pursue a life full of risks and passions and endeavors is like, that's at the forefront of my head. It always has been. I don't know anything else. So what's allowed me to pursue this art and push my boundaries every single day and make cool things happen, within my life is that exact mentality. Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come without hard work, obviously, but like, the opportunity is in front of you because you woke up today. So why would you not pursue the best version of yourself or the things that you're passionate about in life?
Let's go, Ike. Let's go. I mean, this is exactly why I wanted to have you on the show. And maybe you could talk about how you're going to use that inspiration and put it into action, because I watch your social media a lot and I see a lot of action. So talk a little bit about how you use that inspo and
Yeah.
put it right into action.
Yeah. I mean, I have my moonshots that I call them of brands I want to work with or people I want to work with. But at the end of the day, I think about, I woke up today. What am I working on? What do I have in control or out of control in my life today? And I act on that. And I put in a lot of hours into my craft and I focus on the projects in front of me. And even today, people are, every day people are like, oh, who do you want to work with? Or what are you looking forward to? And I'm like, I got to wake up today and I get to cut wood and make art. Like I'm living in the today, the here and now because I am pursuing my passion. I'm in the midst of it, but I don't lose sight of like 5 years ago, this is all I ever dreamed of was this in front of me and the opportunity to build. So why would I be, waiting? I'm like, oh, I can't wait to work for this with this person or this. I'm like, no, I get to build art today for a dream client. And yeah, I do have those moonshots and those brands that I want to work with, but that's not the destination. Like the journey is of what I'm on is what's important. But I'm a very consistent human being. The days that I wake up and don't come to my studio, I feel very off kilter. You know, I'm probably over the edge a little bit. I wake up, I come here for about 16 hours, and then I go home and sleep. And for the past 7 weeks on this project alone, I've been doing that every day for 7 days a week. I don't really have the I've taken 2 days off in the past, like, month and a half. This project's a bit different, but, like, again, it's the opportunity of a lifetime, and something came across my desk that is the coolest gift, and I put on my social media a month ago, like, I have to put in hundreds and hundreds of hours into a project. I don't know how I'm gonna execute on time, but there will not be a second that you find me complaining over the next 2 months. Like, this is a gift. This is an opportunity, um, and this is all I've ever wanted, so why would I ever complain that there's too much food on my plate when I ask to eat?
Man, I know we can't talk about that specific project right now, but maybe what you could do right now, Ike, is kind of share a little bit of your background for my audience. You know, most of my audience are athletes and entrepreneurs, and I reached out to you because I know you have an entrepreneurial background, and
Yeah.
now that I know you've been an artist for a long time, but now that you're really putting your heart and soul into your art, maybe you could just kind of shape how you've gotten here.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised the son of an entrepreneur, which I think is a very unique upbringing and characteristic. Obviously, I just don't know anything different aside from working for yourself and pursuing your passions. My dad started his own business after he had 4 kids and was 35 years old and just, you know, said, "I'm gonna get out of" he was building bridges for a construction company. He said, "I'm gonna start my own business," and now he turned 69 like 2 weeks ago. So 34 years he's been running his own gig. My both my grandfathers were entrepreneurs. Um, my brother and I, let's see, 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, we started our own company, which was kind of a big catalyst within my story, and kind of our family story. Like we're the next generation of entrepreneurs under our lineage, and my brother and I started a business, and it was just him and I cleaning out people's homes. And within 18 months, we had like 15 employees. We bought our dream building. We took out a loan for this, this 27,000 square foot facility. And we just had multiple trucks running. I mean, it was just crazy. It went to a multi-million-dollar company like that. And to this day, it still is, and it still operates. I'm out of the business. Um, but when you have that entrepreneurial, there's two kind of entrepreneurs really. Like I'm on the side of like, there's no other choice. There's no other option. Like I have to be working for myself and pursuing my passions. And then there's obviously the people who might have had more of a traditional upbringing and don't might not have that entrepreneurial spirit ingrained in them. And that's just a whole different like mindset. Like they're so curious about it and they want to figure it out and they do make it work. It's just different because it's their own path. My parents understand how much I have to work and how many hours I have to put in, but that's a different level of support than somebody who's just pursuing it themselves. Um, and like for me, it's in my blood. There's no other option. What people think it is versus what it actually is. I mean, it's a crazy amount of hours and delusional passion and belief in yourself because you're the only driving force behind what you're doing every day. And it's the craziest roller coaster of life. But um, if you're up for the ride and down to get on the ride and puke a few times on this roller coaster, like it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I want to ask you about delusional optimism because I really love that. I vibe with that. I feel like I'm like that too. What does that mean? Delusional optimism.
I think I found like 20 different ways to explain it.
Okay.
I was talking to somebody yesterday about it though. Timmy, who you know, and I, we used
It's
to have a
dreamer.
yeah, Timmy the Dreamer, the best man on planet Earth. We used to have a phrase. We used to say it every day when we woke up in LA working. It was today could be the day. And we would just scream that on the way to work. And it was what we geared towards all day, every day. And people would be like, they would ask, be like, the day for what? It's like, exactly. Like today could be the day. Um, with my life and the way I pursue art, there's cool stuff that comes across my desk, but I'm so delusionally optimistic. Like, I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna call this person or figure out how to work with this brand. Or like, what if I did that content idea? Or what if, but like instead of just saying what if, I like just do it, you know? Like my whole, like 2 months ago, it was a dream of mine for so long to pick up a piece of wood on the side of the road, turn it into something and give it back to a homeowner and surprise them with it. Um and literally, like, I kept dreaming of it. I'm like, "Oh, I'll do that someday." And then I found the opportunity to do it one day, and I did that, and not knowing the homeowner, and I just showed back up at their house and surprised them with it, and they thought it was the coolest gift, and the video obviously did well and took off, but, like, that was just one day of my life. I could do that tomorrow too and make somebody's day. Like, within your own world and within your own passions and careers and relationships, like, there's so many more hours and opportunities in a day than you think, and you can accomplish way more in a day than you realize, but it's when you get very stuck in a level of just, like, mundane or comfort or whatever, you lose sight of, like, what is possible in a day, you know? You shouldn't treat your spouse to one special day a year on Valentine's Day, like, pick a random Tuesday and just go take them on the best date experience ever, or if you're an entrepreneur, like, on a random Wednesday, go do a crazy marketing idea that you've been dreaming of doing, but you just haven't taken that initiative because you get caught up in the day to day, you know? Um,
Yeah.
Delusional optimism is just thinking anything and everything is possible and truly believing that and shooting shots all day, every day, dude. That's it.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for being a fan of the show. I really appreciate your support. And if you'd like to further support the podcast, please grab a copy of my book, The Inspired Athlete. The Inspired Athlete is all about my personal growth journey, my athletic journey, my spiritual journey, all combined into one. And really the idea is that the energy of the inspired athlete is within us all, and it's up to us to evoke that. And whether you consider yourself an athlete or a competitor or not, it's my belief that the energy of the inspired athlete is within us. Even if you just decide to take a deep breath and just move your body, that's the inspired athlete. So it would mean a lot if you could help support the book project as well as the podcast by grabbing a copy. Links to the Amazon paperback version as well as the Audible audiobook version are listed below in the description. Thank you very much for your support. Stay inspired, y'all.
That's so cool. I mean, it's also a choice to be like that, right? I mean, one of the
Totally.
phrases that keeps coming up on this podcast journey for me is like this idea of up to you. It's up to you. Like everything's up to you. Like even how you perceive the news or world events or even negative things. And I actually want to get into the mental health stuff that you've been so open and vulnerable about. But staying on this idea of up to you and choosing that delusional optimism, I think that's awesome. I just
Yep.
think that's so cool. And before we get into like more creative stuff, I want to stay on the story of Charlie because that's how I connected with you and Timmy.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about Charlie Rocket and how he attracted, you know, you basically to him. I think you ended up managing him for a little bit and talk about his delusional optimism as well.
Yeah. I mean, talk about delusional optimism as far as like the way we got connected was it's one of my favorite stories and things in my life that I'll take with me is he was a person I was following on social media for years. And I was so inspired by what he did every day, just like, hey, on a random Wednesday, he would surprise a stranger with $5,000 or like, I related so much to what he was doing and the surprise factor and the making somebody's day come true or, dream come true. And like, I just related to it so much. So I followed him on social media And then literally one day he posted that he was in Chicago. And for whatever reason, a light bulb went off in my head. And I said, Charlie's going to come to Milwaukee tomorrow and I'm going to give him a piece of art. And there was zero reason why I was to believe this. Like,
Hmm.
truly. And I was seeing somebody at the time and I remember telling her that plan. And she's like, she just didn't get it. She's like, he's like, what's to say he's coming to Milwaukee tomorrow? He could catch a flight back to LA. And I'm like, no, but I know he's coming to Milwaukee tomorrow. For whatever reason, I just knew it. So that night I built him a piece of art in anticipation to meet him the next day. And sure as shit, the next day he posted on his Instagram story. He was on a friend's boat, didn't tag where he was, but I saw the lake and I saw the houses behind him and I knew exactly which lake he was on. That night I drove to that lake, found a hotel nearby, found his tour bus, walked up and said, hey, I I knew we were going to meet today. I built you this piece of art and I want to work for you someday. And for somebody like who's delusionally optimism like or delusionally optimistic like him and full of life, you know, for him to have it happen to him kind of was like he took that to heart and realized how special that was. So that day I just kind of declared because he's like, hey, what's your dream? What do you want to do in life? And I'm like, I'm kind of already doing it, to be honest. Like, but someday I would like to work for you. So it was about a year and a half later. He called me up and said, hey, we're hitting the road. We're going on tour. And I need a tour manager and I need somebody to drive my tour bus. So I didn't really think much of it. I just bought a flight to LA. He said we were going to be gone for 2 months and we ended up being on the road for 6 months that trip. Um, but I mean, being a lot of what I do every day and the mentality that I have, you know, I was inherently optimistic my whole life and I knew what where my mindset was, but he really showed me like the next elevation of what's possible, and working alongside him for a few years really just like ingrained a whole new level of delusional optimism into my own personal journey and what's how I go about my day to day now, you know, like he shot shots every day and I would see how he would navigate when people would say yes or no or maybe or, you know, all those conversations I watched and I learned. Um, and now I implement that in my own life every day. But at the end of the day, like I was in the middle of my art career and it was doing well. And I had this chance to go work for him. And in my head, I was like, I might never get another offer to work for Charlie or go on this tour, but I could always come back to my art. So I kind of use it as like a 2 year learning opportunity. Like I said, I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to learn from somebody who I think is living and breathing in a way that I see my future self, you know, operating. And I said, I'm gonna dip out from my art career for a few years and go learn from him and learn from this process and who he is as a person. And then maybe I'll work for him forever. Maybe I'll go back to my art career. And now I'm fully back in my art, but I take all those lessons and things that I learned and it kind of panned out the way that I think I originally intended. Like I'm gonna go learn for a bit and then bring it back home. So, you know, him and I are still connected, still mad love for him as a human and as a person and on his own journeys, you know. Um, my journey is ever evolving and so is his. But yeah, I mean, we're still homies, we're still in touch and like I said right before the podcast, like all the people I worked alongside for those 2 years, like those are my best friends and we talk every day and kind of hold each other accountable in life with our pursuits, not just what they're doing day to day for work or for career, but like in life, you know?
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's so cool. Like I appreciate you sharing that because it's bringing me back. When I did the same thing, I found Charlie on Instagram and just immediately was attracted to his energy, and he does such a good job of bringing people together. And that's exactly why you and I are here right now, which is so cool. So shout out, Charlie. We appreciate you. Maybe you could share a little bit like about your journey with long COVID and the mental health struggles that you've been so, authentically vulnerable about, and try to make that relatable for someone who may be listening or watching this and is going through something challenging right now as well.
yeah. Um, and I'll be honest before I even dive into it, yesterday was not a good mental health day for me. So as much as I've shown and posted that, hey, 2 years ago I was in a rough spot and now I'm in a better spot and pursuing my dream life. That doesn't mean every day is sunshine and rainbows right now just because I'm better, you know. Uh, Yesterday was a rough day, and 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, I went through a very bad bout with it. Kind of right when I met Charlie is when um, a series of long COVID hit me with as far as the mental struggles, the brain fog, the increased anxiety, the like lack of awareness of where you are. All those things just hit me like a brick. And then with a triggering event, came kind of the deep depression and the deep anxiety and something I had never experienced before in life. And I didn't know how to navigate it. Um, so I definitely hit the wall and a wall. I don't know if there's a term for it in mental health. But I hit that point. I think some call it rock bottom. And I just was very honest with myself and said, "Hey, I'm not in a great place mentality or mentally, and I need to go get help." So I actually called up Charlie and Timmy and said, "I need to buy a flight to LA tomorrow to get out of Milwaukee and figure out my mental health stuff." So they kind of housed me for a bit, and we just kind of, as I searched for different mental health clinics and stuff, they kind of took me in, and I found a inpatient clinic in Miami. I was bad, and I had to spend real time and money and to go to a in-person clinic. So as much as I'm talking about the cool things I get to do in life now, and me and my brother starting a business, you would think outside looking in, um, that something wouldn't hit me as hard as it did, but it did. I spent over $10,000 on my mental health, which I don't not shed light on that because it was a very real thing to go to like an inpatient clinic and spending tens of thousands of dollars on your mental health when I'm a, you know, I'm a tall white kid who grew up in a suburb of a major city in America who started a successful business with my brother.
Hmm.
I'm very lucky and privileged and well off in my inherent life that was built around me. I grew up in America, but yet this is something I struggled with. And, um, I got the help I needed. It kind of got me through that dark spell. And now the past 2.5 years since has been, it's a daily discovery. It's, I'm on certain medications. I'm trying out new ones. Uh, my life is a roller coaster of emotions right now. I have some of the coolest opportunities and things being presented through my art career. And, that the, the serotonin of my work every day is at an all-time high, but it also comes crashing down, every week. So like, it's a very real thing that I navigate day to day. And I think aside from when I talk about it on social media, people just assume I'm just better 24/7 or I'm good, but the mental health and the anxiety is just something I never dealt with in my life. And now I never, my parents never took me to a doctor when I was 16 because I was battling depression or anxiety. So now in my early 30s, I'm like figuring it out as an adult of like, which medications do I try? What does my daily routine look like? It's just weird to have what you think as your life and how to operate every day, and then one day it just changes. And I was 28 years old when everything kind of, changed. So, I still remember the day when I didn't feel great or right. It was April 2nd, 2021. Like, I remember the exact day when I was like, I'm experiencing one of the best days ever on earth. It was one of the first days I got to hang out with Charlie and Timmy in Venice, and I was just not happy the way I knew I should be happy. Um, so I'm like, "Oh, something's wrong." But it took me a year and a half after that of before I got help. So, for anyone who's in whatever part of their journey, whether you're just, you know, getting hit with things and feeling things, or in the midst of it, or you think you're on the come up of it or the other side, like I empathize with you. I would say like, every day, be honest with yourself, be honest with the people closest to you, and just know that some days you're gonna feel 100%, and other days you're gonna feel 20%, and it's a constant navigation. And do not beat yourself up about it, but it's about utilizing it as a characteristic of yourself because that's reality. Um, and just navigating it every day and figuring out how to adapt your life to whatever you're struggling with.
Hey guys, just wanted to take a quick moment to share my new music, an instrumental track called Small Waves featuring Brian Schwartz on trumpet and yours truly on acoustic guitar. And you know, this music is very much inspired by the ocean and specifically watching small waves crash on each other. When I look at the ocean and watch small waves, I'm able to kind of tap into that flow state, and hopefully this music is reflective of that. You can find all the links to the music below in the description, and I would love to hear from you if you like the music and you're able to tap into that flow state as well. Let me know. Stay inspired, y'all, and keep exploring that creativity.
Yeah. So yeah, I really appreciate that. You know, I do think this is very, very relatable to anyone, whether you're an artist, an athlete, an entrepreneur, or something else. You know, I think we all have to figure this out for ourselves, and so that's why I really do appreciate you sharing. Um, I
Yeah.
think I think something that came to mind that I would love to kind of explore with you is this concept of pressure, because that's what athletes go through a lot. There's a pressure to perform, there's a pressure to win, there's a pressure to be excellent often,
Yeah.
a lot, right? And so I want to ask you about that. As an artist, you probably have deadlines. I'm sure in the entrepreneur sector, there's been pressure there as well. How do you deal with pressure, and you know, what are some things that you can share for someone who's feeling pressured right now listening to all this?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't think I'm a great resource for pressure because I don't
Okay.
and that's just me being honest. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna give some answer of, my or psychology of how I deal with pressure because I don't truly deal with it day to day.
Okay.
Um, I just started getting into like the commission world of art. Like traditionally, I just kind of sit here and build. One could say like, well, you just build art all day and then kind of wait for someone to buy it. You don't really pitch it for it to be like, I don't post on my Instagram, hey, please buy my art. Like, I just kind of make it, I put it on my website, and then I get creative with my social media presence and marketing, and hopefully somebody buys it someday. And people would, say that that's pressure. How are you going to make your income this month or whatever? And I just like don't think of it like that. Um, I just know that if I show up to my studio every day and put in a consistent effort and work hard and stay creative and don't get comfortable, everything will be fine. So my version of pressure or dealing with pressure, especially when it comes to an athlete or whatever, like there is one way to think about it as far as I need to perform well, I need to do this, this, and this, or it's just kind of take all that noise away and just show up as your best self. Like if you're a football player or yeah, let's just take football, for example, like they have you as the star running back for a reason. Don't get caught up in what you have to do that day or how you have to perform. The way I've been thinking about this latest commission and this latest piece of art is they hired me to perform my art the best way I know how. That takes all the pressure and weight off my shoulders. Like if they didn't want me to operate and do this art the way I know how, they wouldn't have hired me. So if you're a running back, like show up as your best self and pursue the best game you can that you know how to and on your own terms. Like if you do that and take away all the other noise, you probably will perform to the best of your ability because you're focusing on you and why they hired you and why you're on that field. Um, yeah. I mean, with this commission, it's a very big company, it's a very big project. And I was nervous day one and day two because I want to perform and make sure that they're happy with the output of this art. But then literally by the third piece, I'm like, dude, they hired me to make my art. Like I know how to make my art. I just have to take all the noise away.
Yeah.
And the noise is all internal, dude. Like they're not pressuring me. It's just me telling myself sitting in this quiet studio why I'm nervous or why I feel pressured. So it's easy to just like hit the pause button on that noise in this studio and just focus on what I'm doing, you know? And
Yeah.
um there's a clothing brand here in Milwaukee and they have a phrase and it's called um the pursuit of creative fulfillment. And That's their tagline. And as an artist, and for any artists listening or entrepreneurs, if you will, if you can adapt that phrase, is the pursuit of creative fulfillment. I don't know if I'll ever be creatively fulfilled, but the reason I show up every day and pursue this very open-mindedly and without pressure is like it's a daily pursuit of fulfilling myself as an artist. And I don't think I'll ever get there, but that's like the beauty of it, you know?
That's
In
awesome.
sports, you can have a perfect game. You can have 3 for 3 from the line and, from the field, perfect game or stats. But as an artist or an entrepreneur, there's no such thing as perfection. There's always more money to be made. There's always more art to be made. There's always more creative. So like in some industries, there's no such thing as perfect. And I don't even think about that. I don't even think of that as a concept. So without perfection, there really can't be pressure in a sense. Like
Love it.
pressure is showing up as the best version of yourself today, and that's all you have in control. So yeah, that's my artist entrepreneurial take on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a couple nuggets in there that are relatable, but as a whole, like I don't feel pressure. I, you know, I think the first 2 days of this project, I felt pressure. I've been doing this art for 8 years, and that was 2 days out of 8 years is probably pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good. No, that's awesome, man. It just immediately I started thinking about creative flow. That's kind of the theme that I want to keep exploring with you because, I've been an athlete my whole life. I wrote about, this concept of the inspired athlete. I love talking to athletes and entrepreneurs, but I'm an artist myself. I play music and, lately I've been really tapping into that more and more. I know you were in a band or are you still in a band too?
I was in a band for 9 years, so a big chunk of my life. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that. And I think what's happening now for me anyway, and then I want to ask you about it is creative flow is actually becoming a priority in my life. Um, I love tapping into it. I go to the
Yep.
studio or when I'm playing guitar in my place, I try my best to tap into it. And I want to ask you about that because when I do tap into that creative flow, it's great. It's almost like being in the curl as a surfer, like, you're just
Yeah.
or being in the flow even as an athlete, like, I know a lot of athletes listen to this, and that's kinda where we wanna be, right? But as an artist, it can waver. It can you can tap into that creative flow, and also like, sometimes where you just get burned out or you don't want to work on any kind of art, you need a break.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? How do you tap into your creative flow, and how do you manage that burnout?
I mean, I think it's an ongoing thing for every artist, and it's forever discoverable. And every artist would probably give you a different answer. Some
Yeah.
people wake up and have to go for their morning walk with a slow morning with a nice cup of coffee. Um, and if I did that, that would not be my flow. So obviously, everyone has a different rhythm and outlet and cadence to their life. When we started this, I said I wake up and I come here for 16 hours and I go home. That is my creative flow. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there is different elements that I know I need in my life every day. I go and buy coffee at 4 p.m. every day. That $5 spending it on a cup of coffee is worth it because I get to see familiar faces at the drive-through. It's our daily rhythm. It's our daily cadence. I like iced coffee for it running through my veins for those creative hours. And delusional hours because that's when I get my kind of delusional flow going. So everyone has a different rhythm and cadence. When if you're looking at two athletes on the field, both with a pair of headphones and doing their warm up, they're probably listening to two different things, right?
Yeah.
So what I do is not going to work for what happens for you, and vice versa. But it's about knowing, taking the points that you can point to of what things do work and what things don't work and narrowing that down and then slowly interjecting different um things weekly or daily or however that looks for you as far as your process. Like I have my daily schedule of how I like to operate, but once a week I'll be like, hey, what if I move, what if I move my table 2 feet this way? What if I change the lighting? literally on Saturday, I had a guest artist come to my studio. And traditionally, I don't like people in my studio. That's just a thing. I like my alone time. I'm in my studio, the majority of days out of the month. So like when somebody comes in, I usually get thrown off. But I had a guest artist come in here Saturday. He flew in. We spent 2 days together. And the first few hours, I was like, oh, this is throwing me off. I don't like this. This is going to be a rough weekend for me building. Maybe he'll do well and have fun. But then literally within like 3 hours, we found our rhythm. And it's so simple and stupid, but like I have a table in here. I was setting pieces of art and stuff on top of it. And he was like, hey, I'm going to work off this table, but I want to build it up. I'm like, whatever, do whatever you want. So he built some legs and now it's taller. And literally, dude, this table being taller and me walking over there now the past 4 days and working on it is like the coolest creative flow to my process now. I've been using it since he left on Tuesday. I've been walking over to this table. I'm working on different parts of projects on that table now. And all it took was him building this table up with 4 new legs. And like, it's a new area for me to work in my studio. And I'm like, oh, and it's just like a 4x8 sheet of table, literally a piece of plywood. And I had a couple creatives over here yesterday, like 2 videographers, and we were filming a campaign. And I've done that probably, 20 and 25 times now where there's in-house videographers and stuff in my studio. And yesterday they all like naturally, they walked in, they went straight to the new table, set their stuff down, got their laptops out, set up all their gear, and I still had my space here to work on. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like maybe like a reason why I didn't like creatives in my space or like people visiting my studio is because I only had this one table that I was working off of, and they would kind of interject and sit right here. And I was like, but now I'm like, I just have a table right there and they can kind of do their thing. And this is like such a simple, stupid thing. But for me as an artist in my space, in my studio, one table being built changed everything for the next, this is like a no-brainer now. This has to be my studio. And now yesterday I'm like, do I build this to a 12-foot table or an 8-foot by 8-foot? Is it on casters? But again, I thought I had my process pretty dialed in, and one person came and slowly interjected 4 legs onto a new table, and it changed my whole studio, my whole vibe.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
however that relates to your day as an entrepreneur or as an athlete, like have your rhythm, have the music you listen to. My music is like the most important thing in the studio here. What I listen to day to day, and it changes every day. Like today I have zero idea what is going to be the vibe. Someday it's 90s hip hop. I listen to a ton of Sabrina Carpenter and Chaperone. I listen to hardcore and metal. Like every day is different. I have to find the rhythm and find the groove. This week has been a lot of dad rock, as we call it, just for Nickelback.
You said Creed and Nickelback?
Yeah. Saturday I had it on for 6 hours. It was sick. Didn't touch the Spotify once. So it's about figuring out your flow every day, but like I think it's about slowly interjecting new things. Have your block of how you operate, and then take those little, chances on new things. Moving furniture around, waking up 30 minutes earlier, having your meetings. Like for this, for example, I love my meetings at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, because this starts my day, and now I carry the things that we're talking about through the night. And it kind of reminds me of what I do, why I do, or like what I do.
Love
Uh,
it.
so I book all my interviews and meetings at 2 or 3 in the afternoon because it reminds me of what I'm doing every day.
Yeah.
So but I'm not going to say this is my pattern and it's forever forged in steel. Like it's a flowing thing, but you have to figure out the pillars of what you need every day and how you operate best, dude. It's just human anatomy and human operation of like, some people are morning people and some people need an ice bath and some people need a daily walk. I need to wake up here and come here for 16 hours and smell sawdust and listen to Shania Twain. That's it. Like, I'm happy there, dude.
Yes.
And Orbit gum or Trident gum. I need to be chewing gum pretty much 24/7.
Thank you to new sponsor of the show, Stretchlyfe, located in Manhattan Beach, California. Stretchlyfe offers assisted stretching for anyone who wants to enhance their flexibility practice. And if you're like me, muscle tightness is something I deal with on a daily basis, whether I'm in the gym training or out on the beach playing beach volleyball, or even sitting here doing this podcast. It's a challenge to make time for the daily stretch routine. And so I've been working with Amir over the last couple months over at Stretchlyfe, and I can tell a big difference in the way I feel. I have more range of motion, I have more energy, more muscle control, and just overall less pain. Stretchlyfe is offering Within the Game listeners 50% off your first session. Just mention Within the Game when you book online or when you call in for the discount. And also, if you do not have access to the Stretchlyfe studio, but you still want to learn more about how to enhance your flexibility practice, Amir is offering a free 20-minute phone call where he can share specific stretches and other specific tools that can help you. So visit stretchlyfe.com, that's Stretchlyfe spelled with a Y, to book your first session, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
But that's awesome, man. No, I really appreciate that whole perspective of getting into creative flow. And it helps me because I'm hearing you and I'm like, I do the same thing. I have my little, same thing. I do these podcasts at like 12 p.m. Pacific on Fridays, and it helps me, reflect on the week and set up my weekend and connect with amazing people like yourself. So, but I like the small changes too that you're mentioning. The small little changes, like experimenting with small little things that are outside of that routine. I think that's really cool.
My brother's a big podcaster too, and he held his podcast every Monday. He does it from like 2 to 5 p.m. He does all of his podcasts, and he also had all of his like big meetings for the week prior to that. So he would have meetings from 9 to 3 and then go into his podcast from like 3 to 5. And he was doing that for like a year straight, and he thought that was the rhythm. And then one day they had to move all the meetings to a Tuesday. And now he's like, oh my God, this works so much better. He's like, I do all my podcasts. I can prepare my day for my podcasts. Then I have my meetings Tuesday all day. And then I kind of tap into that cadence and rhythm for the rest of the week. So like, yeah, it's an ever changing thing, but it's like slowly add or take away things, Yeah. You can't throw your whole thing for a loop day one.
Right.
And you're just like, why am I not feeling great? And you're like, oh, because I changed everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Ike, this is awesome, man. I have 2 more sections that I want to get into. Right now, I want to jump into this concept of manifesting. This is like a keyword lately in society. I'd say last couple of years, it's manifestation. Do you believe in that? Does that work for you? Does that like resonate with you, that word?
It resonates with me. I've gone through so many different flows of my life with how to approach it.
Okay.
I think working for Charlie, when I came into working for Charlie, I thought of it as one thing. And then when I left working for him, I know what the other side of it is. So I know the answer to manifestation now, if anyone's listening.
Well,
And you're looking for like manifestation, I call them moonshots. And Timmy and I kind of developed that word, and that's the word we use, moonshots.
Okay.
Like, it is a moonshot of mine to build a piece of art for Tony Hawk and Green Day and to be on the Kelly Clarkson show. Like, those are my moonshots.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to sit here and completely ignore the tasks or things that are in my control that would probably get me closer to that. I'm not just going to say Kelly Clarkson is going to call me up someday randomly and manifest her presence and I'm going to be on her show. I have to put in the work and the effort to put my best foot in front of Kelly Clarkson's people,
Yeah.
luck, it's someday somebody's going to say, oh, you're so lucky you got to be on the Kelly Clarkson show. Luck is the intersection between opportunity and preparation. Okay. I can't control so much the opportunity, but I can control the preparation. And in my life, I love doing give backs. I love surprising people with my art. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I have not been on the Kelly Clarkson show yet because I have not done enough surprises and put my best foot forward making pieces of art for people. I've done like 5 or 6 videos of surprising people with my art, and I love at the core of it, I love doing that. It's not to get on Kelly Clarkson. I love surprising people with my art. But her producers and audience, they pick up on stuff like that. Good Morning America features those stories,
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, oh, it's on me. I haven't gotten the attention of these people yet because I'm not doing enough. I'm not putting enough forward to be seen by these people yet. Um, so like manifestation is, I can have these moonshots and I have them written on a whiteboard right in front of my eyes. I can see Kelly Clarkson written right there. I look at it every day. But you have to find the way to reverse engineer it. If I want to build a piece of art for Tony Hawk, what are the steps I have to take to build a piece of art to get it to him? And there's not one linear line of how to make it happen. And this is, Charlie's team and I, this is what we did all day, every day. Hey, if we want to make this person's dream come true with this celebrity, we reverse engineered it and whiteboarded 100 ideas of how to get there, like the roadmap. So that's all I do, So with the word manifestation in people's lives, like you can dream you want to lose 10 pounds and gain 5 pounds more muscle. But if you don't show up to the gym today or tomorrow, you're probably not on the right track to manifest that into your life, right?
Yeah.
And I say this with all love, like manifestation is just nothing without action.
Yeah.
So, it's great to daydream and to have delusional thoughts about what's possible, but you have to be contextual and put action behind your words, and your thoughts. I'm not in any rush to build a piece of art for Tony Hawk or Green Day right now. It's not the right, like I'll put the time and energy in when I know I feel it in my soul to do it and put that campaign out there, if you will. Um, but it's gonna happen someday. And again, that pursuit of it is like what you have to focus on. I'm not focused on meeting Tony Hawk and handing him the piece of art. I'm focused on the pursuit of being able to do that. Because you have a way better chance of getting there if you focus on the pursuit, not the fucking destination.
Love it. I mean, what you're talking about is really champion mindset too, right? I mean, you just kind of practice manifestation right now by saying it's going to happen, right? And then you take it off of that result and you put it on the journey. And I think you just kind of described it because I would agree with you. Whether it's in sport or art or social media, whatever the thing is, we're all trying to manifest. We all want things, right? But I think the way you just said it, to speak it out, it's going to happen, and then I'm going to focus on the journey. I'm going to just immerse myself in the enjoyment of the process. I think that's what it's
Well,
all about, you know?
you want to win a Super Bowl, it starts with how you get to the gym today and how you play that first game of the season. Like, you're not going to get to the Super Bowl by just wishing to get to the Super Bowl. It's all the things that have to fall into place to make sense. But at the end of the day, when you show up to week 1 Sunday, that game matters to get to the Super Bowl. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear that from an accomplished artist like yourself because most people look at those things behind you, like the Crayola. I know that Crayola one got quite a bit of notoriety, and you have something hanging in the New York Stock Exchange, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people look at these results, but and they're great results, and they should be celebrated. But the process that it took, just talk quickly about a process of one of those artworks.
I mean, the Crayola box was, yeah, it was 100 or it was 205 hours to create.
Wow.
So, I mean, again, I show up here in the afternoon, I build for anywhere from 12 to 16 hours, and then I go home. And, uh, while I'm doing all that, I enjoyed every second of building this. And I gate kept this from the internet the entire time. Like, I wanted this to be my project. I didn't want anyone else to know about it. Um, and when it was finally done and I shared the video, then I got to release it with the world.
Yeah.
But spending 200 hours on something, I obviously have a deep connection with it. And I don't know, but it's a love of what I do. Like,
For sure. Yeah.
whether I got paid $0 for that or I get paid $100,000 for it, like it's something I love doing it. I was giggling the entire time bringing that thing to life. I'm a freaking kid in a candy store when I build
That's
some
cool.
things. But like,
That's cool.
I'm spending hundreds of hours on nostalgic themed concepts from our childhood, and like it's just It's the coolest avenue, and it's in within a medium of wood, like, working with wood that I picked up on the side of the road that I just love, and, like, I love every challenge and every aspect of how I build art. Um,
Yeah.
so spending 200 hours on it is not a daunting task by any means, like, it's the thing that brings me life.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I spend an ungodly amount of hours in the studio by myself listening to music, and then I get to share it with the world. I will say the dichotomy of being isolated in here and then millions of people reviewing and critiquing what you do is something I think I'm okay with it. It's just something I'm figuring out.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I have very like-minded people in my corner. I'm figuring out my tribe every single day within the art community, within the dreamer community of like Timmy and Hunter and all those boys. Like I have great people that keep me level-headed and grounded and, you know, focus on my direction every day.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I FaceTime them every single night because I'm in a studio by myself and like I need that. I know for me as a human, I need to connect with my friends every single day and be delusional with them every single day. Um,
That's cool, man.
so yeah, I mean, it's a labor of love, but I hate using the word labor because it's like it's all love in here. I love doing what I do.
It's all love, man. I love that. Um, I do wanna ask you a little bit about social media, but real quick, something I like to explore on this show is spirituality. Does spirituality play a role for you at all in any of this stuff?
I think this is very aligned with the pressure question, kind of. I'm not gonna give some answer of I'm very simple, dude. Like I grew up in a very religious background and I don't consider myself religious anymore. I don't practice anything. Obviously spirituality is, just kind of a bigger view of that.
Mhm.
I do believe in karma. And why would you not? I guess like if you do good in the world, it'll come back to you. If
Cool.
you show up as your authentic self, good things will happen. If you put in the daily work on yourself and your craft, good things will happen. I keep it very like bullet point as far as like when it comes to s- uh what the inner workings of the world are and how it relates to your life. Um when I get deep with people and talk, yes, I do probably have way deeper connection with spirituality, more deeper thoughts, but to be honest, it's 3 o'clock on a Friday, and I'm just, like, kinda waking up for the day, getting ready
Yeah.
to zone in on my night of creative if you asked me at 4 in the morning, I could tell you all the answers of the universe, my guy. But I have yet to play any Shania Twain or Sheryl Crow yet today, so my spirituality has not been risen.
That's cool. No, I totally appreciate that. Just with our last remaining moments here, just briefly talk about how you crack the code on social media, man.
I mean, it's again, I worked alongside Charlie and the team for 2 years, so I had a great blueprint of seeing how something can go from, Charlie was doing well, and I saw what he was trying to pursue. I had the luxury of viewing it from a third person's point of view, like, it's tough, like, when I look at my social media, I kinda have to look at it from, like, a social media consultant, like, "Hey, if I were to be consulting Ike today, what would he do next?"
Yeah.
If I were to if you and I got on a call, and you're like, "Hey, I need help with social media," I'd be like, "Aaron, this is what you have to do," you know? Because I can see it from a third person perspective, whereas you're in it every day. So I think either having somebody to help consult or critique it, uh, putting yourself in those shoes and being honest with yourself, finding people who you look up to on it and, like, see what they're doing and, like, I don't say replicating or copying, but, do the takeaways, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but, I mean, yes, there are I've been grateful for the platform that I've been able to have on social media and the notoriety and the views on my videos and people following along my journey. People following along and being the daily touch points is way more important than 10 million views. I will say that. Building brand on there is way more important than a viral video. A viral video means nothing. I could get 10 million views tonight, but if it's on a stupid joke I make, like what value does that have in my future as a brand? So
And
I
and real quick, just for people, like, what does that mean, building brand?
people knowing your face and your name
Yeah.
and what you do outside of making a silly joke and getting 10 million views.
Right.
For
Right.
example, with the guest artists I had in here all weekend, I was texting a friend. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be pretty tied up all weekend. I'm working with a buddy." And I sent them a photo of me and my buddy working. She said, "Oh my God, is that Ricky?" And I was like, "This man is not even a wood artist. He's an artist, but he's not a wood artist. Flew in from Long Island to Milwaukee, hasn't ever really been here, and a girl from Chicago knows who he is just by his face."
Right.
I said, "How do you know Ricky?" And she says, "I follow him on social media because he makes cool ass art."
Yeah.
That is brand.
That's brand. I get
The
it.
fact that she knew his face from the background of a photo
Right.
and knew his name and his art, that's like you could say, "Oh, there we got." Like, with this stuff, like if I post this on TikTok, I get known as the crayon guy or the guy who built the crayon box.
Right.
I post this, oh, the guy who made the bikini bottom picture. Now, if they say Ike, who's the wood artist, that's brand.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That's
also
huge.
like,
Yeah.
hey, did you see that wide receiver who caught 3 catches on Saturday for 99 yards versus his name,
That's
right?
super powerful. Super, super powerful. Like, I know we're about to sign off. Before we do, and we could talk. Well, maybe I'll have you back.
Hours. We could talk for
We could,
hours, my guy.
maybe we could do a part 2 just on social media because I know that that's very
Yeah.
relatable. But just share your socials and promote your website and all that stuff before we sign off.
Yeah. The easiest, again, with the topic of brand, I think Instagram is the easiest place to connect with people because I read every DM and it's a great way to authentically connect with people through social media as close as we can get to real life, it's at Ike_Wynter with a Y. Yeah, my website is ikewynter.com. I don't ever expect or suggest people to ever like go and buy my art or look at things, but like, I don't know, if you want to check things out, I do have t-shirts that people dig. But at the end of the day, I just like connecting with humans and being, being inspired by humans. And if I can offer any sense of peace or inspiration to people through my social media and my presence, like that's all I care about at the end of the day. I get to live my dream every day. So I like sharing little nuggets of my journey and inspiration for other people as they're following. So
cool. I'm gonna link all that stuff when this drops. But I just appreciate you, Ike. I really do. I'm inspired by you. I follow you. I look at your stuff often. And thanks so much for being here, man.
of course, man, I appreciate you and glad we were able to make this all work.
Yes. All right, brother. Appreciate you.
All right,
Stay inspired,
good.
man. All right.
Peace.
Bye.